Okay, so I hit that before I hit the start streaming button. So that's only going to be on the audio version. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Space Game Junkie Podcast. I, as always, am your co-host, Brian. And joining me, as always, is your co-host, Jim.
Heidi-ho.
And your co-host, Spaz.
Certainly not the podcast co-host of the year.
I would never. We could never. I don't think we could do that. That'd be like.
No,
there's only three of us. There's only three of us. So, folks, it is the last podcast of 2018. It is December 18th. Next week is Christmas, and then the week after that is New Year's. So this is it. So we thought we would take a look back at this relatively busy year. It wasn't as busy as 2017. 2017 had like over 40 games out, whereas 2018 had 25 games, according to the wiki. Anyway, I might have missed one.
There was 25 games an hour.
We're talking just space games, 1.0 space games.
Yeah, so minus the hentai, it was actually 20 games all year.
There's been so much of that, and so many like
minus all the flops and
the asset flips and
well, it's just what's the easiest thing to make, right? It's my Flappy Bird thing, right?
Oh my god!
Like, why would you take 2-3 years of your life to make a game when you can knock out Flappy Bird in a weekend and do it every weekend
and add cards to it and sell it for $1? And if you sell 25 copies, you broke even because that's how much Unity's costs or whatever. Hello, Chevany Johnson. Oh, you miss us from Eve? Are you not an Eve anymore? You're not playing Eve anymore, buddy? I'm still playing Eve. I don't know what you're talking about. All right, so folks, we have several categories to talk about tonight. Looking back at 2018, it was a busy year for not just space gaming, but gaming in general, as we were just talking about. I mean, I don't even know how many Steam games came out. A lot.
I'm guessing. Well, it's obviously over 7,000 because it's more than the 7,000.
I'm gonna say 70% of the games on Steam came out this year. That's not a joke either.
No, I know that's what's
it's about 200 games a week approximately.
Yeah, 200 games, and they're not, and it's just the fact that they let anything on now is just. It just really infuriates me. But anyway, so we're going to talk about like our highs and lows in space gaming, and we'll probably talk about other games as well, but we're going to try and focus on space gaming primarily. So our first category is most surprising games, space games of 2018. So I will go first, if you guys don't mind.
Go for it.
So for me,
will shock you.
No, I only wrote down 3. The most surprising space games for me, I tried to keep this quick, were Adios Amigos, Solar Explorer New Dawn, and Wartech Fighters, which are 3 very different games. But I went into all of them like not expecting. I try to go in with low expectations all the time, and those 3 games just blew me away with how fun and solid and complete they are. Like, I was just blown away by all 3, especially Adios Amigos. Like,
oh yeah, that was great.
Oh my god, I went in that game like, what is this? It looks like What's that one game that was on sale today? Not Star-Lord. That 2D space game that didn't turn out to be that great. The
Starbound?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I think.
I like Starbound.
It wasn't bad, but it wasn't like amazing. So I thought it was going to be another one like that. I thought it was going to be like another Starbound. It was nothing like that at all. Like, if you guys haven't played Adios Amigos, especially you guys, it is a amazing exploration game that focuses on exploration. There are not a lot of games that focus primarily on exploration.
It's sort of the Dark Souls of exploration games, because that game is merciless about murdering you.
Oh my god.
Yes,
there's no combat in the game, but there are so many ways to die. So many ways to die. It is just astounding. Like, there are like aliens that can hurt you and kill you or destroy your ship or whatever. But a lot of the times your death will be your own fault. More than anything
murdered more times by furniture in a space station. Button, and then it turned into a freaking Blend-O-Matic. And you have to play the game to understand why they're laughing. Because you hit a button on a space station and it triggers the wrong thrusters and it spins that thing up like a top, and then all the furniture bounces around inside and kills
and starts hurting you. Or you fly into the sun, which did happen to me once. I didn't mean to hit the button, but I bounced around into the button and it just went.
Was there beer?
No, sadly there was not beer. Only death. Only death. So, folks, Adios Amigos is probably my most surprised. The other two games, Solar Explorer, that's a new take on Lunar Lander, but it's an amazing new take on Lunar Lander, and it's fun and funny. Like, you will crash in that game and just laugh your ass off because it's ridiculous and it's great. And Wartech Fighters is everything Strike Suit Zero wanted to be, but wasn't. So
it's got 99% more robots.
Yes. And the robots are actually great. They don't just kind of sit there like a turret.
And customization and there's lots of
Jesus Christ.
too.
All the toys in that game are there's so many toys. And there's so many ways to get the toys. Like, there's not just a campaign. You can take like little challenges to get more, like space bucks to get more toys. It's basically,
if you're a fan of Gundams, go get that game right now.
Yeah, any space mecha, you'll like that. Basically,
why do they put legs on?
Just something to say. Keep an eye on GMG, Green Man Gaming, because they actually published it, so they usually have the best price.
Yeah.
For Wartech Fighters, so you know, if you're watching, is there any deal? GMG will probably have the best one.
And as we record this, the big Steam sale is about to start in 2 days. The GMG sale just started today, so look for Wartech Fighters on that. But if you haven't signed up for isthereanydeal.com, as Spaz just mentioned, do that right now. That is an indispensable source for finding the best prices on games. No lie. It'll import your wish lists. You can make new wish lists, and it'll email you the best deals, and it'll tell you what the lowest price is. So it's like, oh, it's not the lowest price. I'm not going to buy it yet. It's just a wonderful free service that everyone needs to sign up for.
It won't necessarily help with discovery of new games, but it will certainly help you find and buy the ones that you want.
Exactly.
Because once you put it on your wish list, hey, it's there, and you'll get notified. So there's no reason not to do that.
Exactly. Jim, what were you going to say?
I was just going to ask Spaz, as our resident anime fan expert, why did they put legs on space robots if they never actually walk on anything?
Well, sometimes they can. I mean, you know,
don't they walk on things?
There's actually a joke used in the anime Martian successor to Desco, which is itself a parody of the entire genre, in which the lead character must do a manual launch while the ship is effectively grounded, and the manual launch is literally him running out of the airlock.
Oh, nice. Yeah, because like in Gundam, they have it's almost like a
catapult.
Yeah,
it's a catapult that'll launch you out. Yeah, but in this case, So in that particular series, the mecha were designed for both space and ground. So it makes sense, at least in that context.
But there's those ball-looking mechs in Gundam that it's basically like a ball with guns on it, right?
Yeah,
so there's those things, and then there's one that's a torso, and then it's got like a rocket booster lower half and stuff.
I just think the Borg had the right idea. Like,
just make a big cube.
Yeah. Why do you need like flurry curves and things like that? I mean, there's no air, there's no resistance. You know, why do you need curves and wings and things?
I've thought like the best tank or the best starfighter would probably be a tank, just sloped armor, a rocket on the back, and a turret so you can shoot at people behind you.
So kind of like a Gunstar from the last Starfighter, because that has a 360.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's pretty much a turret with an engine in it, or a bunch of little turrets with an engine and a guy to fly it and another guy to shoot all the other little turrets. So basically, it's a space tank. Basically,
pretty much.
Yeah. So Jim, what would you say your most surprising games of 2018 were?
Oh gosh. Well, Stellaris was like the best 3 games that came out this year.
Okay.
Well played.
For people that have Stellaris, you know the pain.
Yeah.
Actually, I do like the most recent patch, not expansion, because I didn't get the Megacorp expansion itself.
But the new patch makes
patch version of it, which has 90% of that in it. I thought that was quite interesting because they finally have made a 4X where the economy and the happiness of people, and maybe it's just because of the type of economy that I was playing, but it's like you make consumer goods and then the consumer goods get turned into amenities that make people happy. So you have a factory, it makes consumer things, right? And then the consumer things get taken by a theater, and that's the currency for the theater converting it into happiness. Right. So it's like this interesting civilian economy that happens in the game now. And I think that really was helpful. I haven't found anybody that doesn't want to kill me yet. So I don't know how trade works with that, but hopefully they get into trade stuff that, I mean, it's like basically Distant Stars universe or Distant Worlds universe. Which one is it? Distant Worlds?
You got it right.
Yeah. Okay. So Distant Worlds is, I think, my high bar for civilizations trading with each other in a peaceful way. And if Stellaris can get there based on the other economy stuff that they've got, and they can make that stuff cross borders, oh, that's a good time. So we'll see. Because then you could actually have like a non-shooty rivalry in that game. And you could win through business instead of win through guns.
Jack is asking.
Anyway, I found that surprising though that they actually did that.
Well, Jack is asking if all the DLC is worth it. Can't really. I don't think so. But I don't think really. I'm gonna say I don't think the game is worth it. Honestly.
Well, you get the bulk of the DLC as just part of the main game, and then because they give you 90% of the stuff in the patch, which is a blessing. And then like if you specifically want to play that particular Civ type that they put in, which is the Megacorp, then you have to buy the DLC. But other than that, everything else is there. And if you play it with somebody multiplayer and they do have the DLC, then you have access to the DLC while you're playing the multiplayer game too. So that's a way you can kind of check it out if you know somebody that's already got it.
I would say if you're going to buy that game, buy it for the mods more than the DLC. Like, because there's some really great mods for that game. And playing with the mods, I think, is a little more fun than playing vanilla. And maybe if there's a mod that looks great or a total conversion that looks great and it says it needs specific DLC, maybe get that. But that's the only... I'm every time I play Stellaris, I'm like, I could be playing Distant Worlds Universe right now. Every time. So I'm a little biased.
Distant Worlds just had the UI from Stellaris.
Oh God, right. I'm really hoping we get this.
Distant Worlds 2.
I was just about to say. I really hope. I can't play it now that I've upgraded. It's too small. It like everything is just too tiny. Yeah, everything's too tiny. I can't read anything. It's like, oh God, this is, and it doesn't scale.
Yeah.
So
what res is your monitor? Is
it's a
1440.
Yeah, it's 1440. It's an Asus. I forget that model number, but it's just a gorgeous monitor.
Yeah, and you got G-Sync on it as well, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I went with an NVIDIA card, so I totally got the G-Sync. Yeah, cool. It's great.
Yeah, it was a little, because I got mine Saturday, right? I got an Acer Predator that's got
I think it's the same panel as the one
tracker in it.
I think it's pretty much the same panel as the one I have.
Yeah, for me it was like the same price with or without the eye tracker, so I was like,
oh wait, is the eye tracker built in, or
holy shit? Yeah, it's built right into it. You can get it separately and bolted on the front if you have a monitor that doesn't have it integrated, but this is just in the monitor.
Oh, right? Nice.
So like underneath the screen, there's just 2 red LEDs, and that's it. But you saw that video that I made with Elite, right? When I was
that looked pretty great, actually.
Dude, it's surreal because it's just like when you look at it's padlocking with your eyes, because if you keep your eyes on the thing you want to look at, it will rotate the screen to keep it on the screen. So it's just like it's head motion without head motion, because I don't have to move my head. All I got to do is just keep my eyes on the thing that's about to go off screen, and it turns your head. So it's like beyond track IR or ed tracker for that. And then in Overload, the descent game, when I look at things, it aims missiles. So I can shoot the guns at one guy, and then I can look at a guy like off to the side and right click, and it'll fire a missile at that guy.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get one.
Creepy weird.
I think I'm going to get one. Did you put it over or under your monitor?
Well, it's built in. It's underneath.
It's underneath, huh? Interesting.
Yeah, it's just on the bottom edge of the monitor.
Huh. I'll have to get.
But yeah, I'm pretty thrilled with it. It's the only bad thing is there is a list of like 130 games that do support it. I was shocked that Master of Orion, the new one, supports Tobii Eye Tracker. I just saw it in the list. I was like, what? So kind of cool. Like some of these games, well, they're aware when you look at a button on the screen, right? So I could look at, like, say there's a button that you would click that would slide out a map or something. You could just look at the button and the map slides out.
Okay, I have to get this thing. I'm getting this thing.
The only thing that I wish was there is I wish that there was more like custom programmability for it. Like their application, it's like the game has to support it or you're kind of SOL. But they need an app that says, okay, I'm going to bind things. Like if my eyes go over to this part of the screen, do whatever. And there are people who have hacked that, because like X-Plane does not support it. Microsoft Flight Simulator does, but X-Plane doesn't have support for it. So what people did is they took OpenTrack, which is the same project that's like FaceTrack No IR. They took OpenTrack and then used VJoy, which is a virtual joystick thing.
Oh yeah, sure,
and then they said, okay, so OpenTrack can actually read the sensors of this thing, and it interprets eye movement as head movement. And it also, it will show your eyes, right? So you have like granularity. Like if I move my eyes, it'll move slow. If I turn my actual head, it turns fast, right? So yeah, it's interesting, right? But they've basically hacked it so that you run this plugin and then you run X-Plane, and then it sees your eyes as a track IR and responds accordingly. But it's like if the game's not supported, then it takes hacks. And I wish that they would just create the hacks first party, just be like, hey, you can use our stuff in any game because we provide you the tool. But as it is, I go out to SourceForge and I got to hunt for it and stuff. But I've only had it a couple of days, and the games that do support it, it's crazy town. Oh, American Truck Simulator totally supports it. You can look around inside the truck.
Yeah,
you need to just watch a video of somebody playing it with that on in American Truck Simulator. All the farming simulator games, like clear back to 15, support it. I was playing Farm Simulator 19 with it, and yeah, it's good. You're sitting in the tractor, and it's just like you look down, the guy looks down. You look out the side, the guy looks out the side window, and it's just because it's just like I looked at that side of the screen, so he turns his head to look out the window. If you look at the mirror, it centers the mirror on the screen. It's bonkers. So hopefully more and more games support it. So the next thing that's coming in this is that they're integrating it into VR. So that the VR thing will have an eye tracker right there.
Maybe I'll get that.
Then,
maybe I'll wait,
because that's the problem in VR is you have to. It only focuses on what's directly in front because the lens is a bent thing. So any text that, like, if you play a traditional game that's meant for a monitor, like say Skyrim, that's not the VR Skyrim. If you play that, you're cool until you pull the menu up, because the menu comes up on the side of the screen. Well, that's over in the blurry zone that will never come in focus because that's on the edge of the lens, right? So with the eye tracker, then if you looked over at it, it would pull it to the middle. So because it knows you're trying to see something over there. So that will actually give peripheral vision in VR, which is what VR so sorely lacks right now.
I wonder if X4 will ever get this eye tracker stuff. That'd be great.
I I don't know. I was
don't know.
thinking about actually suggesting it to him. There's an API thing that you just download this module and bang, and your game supports it. So it's not hard to integrate. So yeah, I mean, it's as easy as putting track IR stuff. But track IR, I think you have to pay them to be able to utilize it in your game. So, but this stuff, it's just like, yeah, grab our stuff, stick it in your game. We love you. So,
nice.
You know, yeah.
So besides Stellaris, were there any other games that really surprised you this year?
There is just such a crap load of games. I can't even.
Yeah.
It's all kind of like mashed together into just a big gray goo of game that was this year. And, you know, like as you guys go through stuff, then it's like the problem with like the game awards, right? It's like, why do the games that come out in November always win the game of the year? Well, because that's the most recent thing, so everybody can remember the name of it. You know, it's not like, what was that thing that came out in January? It was really cool, you know, and I can't remember. So
yeah, but it's been a good year, I'll tell you that.
Oh, it has, man. I was looking back through the list of episodes that we've done with people and stuff. You know, Starcom Nexus. I'll bring that up as like that's my surprise of the year, right? Because that game is so stinking good.
I will add that
to my list.
You know, it's like one dude made a AAA looking game that blew out some AAA studios that made games that are similar. I won't name, but you know, it's just like, yeah, like I told him when he was on the thing, and I repeated this in my Steam review. It's like this game is a collection of correct choices in design, because it is, you know, and it's just the game. It's not just like, oh, this game's surprising, you know, it looks so good, it plays good, but the game continued to sustain the surprise because every time I would encounter something new, it's like I couldn't think of a way to do that better. So it just continued to be good. Yeah. So I need to circle back now that it's actually out on Steam, because I'm sure he's advanced it quite a bit since the last time I danced with him.
Yeah. Yeah, that one is great. I'm really excited about that one. So, Spaz, what about you? What would you say your most surprising games of the year were?
Well, Starcom Nexus for sure. Adios Amigos definitely made my list, as just because, as I mentioned on the podcast, it reminded me of a certain game from the NES era called Solar Jetman.
Oh, right. right.
And without the combat, which is what also is, because it has many of the same features, including the physics that Solar Jetman had. It had the gravity at least. But yeah, no combat. Still many things that can kill you. and more often than not, you end up killing yourself through your own actions or inactions, as they may be.
I could not imagine if that game had combat. Oh my god. That would be horrible.
Well, I could see it as in the vein of, you know, as talked on the podcast, you know, doing the or you have a team versus team. You know, you had the suggestion I had, which is one team has a station they want to drag to a certain point, to tow to a certain point, and the other team has a whole bunch of asteroids and they want to tow those asteroids into the station and destroy it before it can reach that point. You could do combat that way without actually having combat.
Wow. So it sounds like we all had like a lot of similar choices. That's awesome. So,
well, there's another one.
Oh, sorry.
Assault 2.
Oh, yeah.
I was just going to mention that because that was a pretty big surprise. We had a lot of fun with that one.
I was just surprised that it happened.
Yeah.
It was just like came out of nowhere. It was like, what? He made another.
Yeah, and it's in space.
It's better. It's better.
I haven't tried it on the new rig. I really need to load that up. It's probably
we should load up multiplayer one of these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when I played it, it was like too rough for me. It was just like, I'm gonna let this cook for a while.
He did just release a big patch for it, like a really big patch, which took out troop transports, and you have these like
it's all Stargates now.
Yeah, which looks funnier than troop transports. So I'm down.
Well, I mean, one of the funny things about the troop transports is if the transport was almost docked and it got destroyed, you could end up with a whole bunch of enemy soldiers sitting outside, literally in a sitting position outside of your station, because they were just stuck there. They couldn't despawn. They couldn't be shot at because nothing could hit them, and they'd just be sitting there, floating.
Just eating up your frame rate.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So do we have what categories do we have? So this is most surprising.
And then most disappointing. And then we have games you played the most. And then which games got refunded the most quickly. And then we have game of the year. Like if there's one game that you think would define 2018. I mean, it doesn't have to be the best game of the year, but like if you think of 2018 and you think the first game you think of to define like
so I'm gonna call this also my surprise of the year.
Okay.
Right? Because there's no other category to stick this in.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, No Man's Sky shocked the shit out of me.
That is fair. That's a good one. Yeah, no, that's a good one.
Because I've put more hours in that thing like since the next thing that they put out.
Yeah.
And then they've continued to put content. You know, it hasn't slowed down. So it's just like that game started out as something I wouldn't look sideways at. And then about midway through the year, it was like, hey, that's kind of cool. And then they threw the actually works multiplayer in. And it was
total game changer.
Yeah, it was like, wow.
I mean, I loved the game before, but even more now.
Well, it's like, because you guys were talking about the Stargate thing, and that's what made me think of this. So I got to the first Stargate in No Man's Sky, which is hilarious because it actually looks like the Stargate from Stargate. Yep. In the fact that it like blasts the water looking stuff out and everything at the beginning. And I stepped through that and I was like, oh, okay, cool. This is going to take me somewhere else. And I'll have to probably, talk to another NPC. And I step out and there's like 10 bases. You guys saw the screenshot I put, right? There's like 10 player bases that are around there. And then there was like 1,000 of those message balls. And everybody had wrote their own, like, Bob was here or something funny. Some of them were hilarious. And, but they're like, everybody just left a personal message around this Stargate. And
it was for an event thing. That's why there were so many there. Yeah. The first event that it sends you through, or the first event you can access through that gate. Once they actually put in the event system, the weekly event system, there was a designated gate that it would send you to. And when I first got there, it was on the very first day they put it out, and there was nothing there. Yeah. And the reason why there was nothing there is because there was a good 100 or so players who had been there before I got there and had already left messages, but it just wasn't loading in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when I stepped out of that thing, there was like 1,000 of them.
Yeah, because they optimized the code is what it was.
Yeah, and it was just like, because the normal experience that I had with it is like, I go to where your base is, and it's like it was, months ago when I was there. And then you log in, and then your computer hands what it actually is over to my computer, right? So we update because we're on the planet together. And then I have your real base. Right. And but if you're not logged in, then I don't exchange that info with you because it's all local info, because their server, they would have to have a hell of a server to actually hold to all the creations of all the people. Yeah. So it's like, I kind of understand that. But they also have the thing where you can upload your base to Steam, the workshop. So does that mean if you upload your base that other people download it and then it's really where it should be, like that? Is that
the way I understand it is when you upload your base, it syncs the base information to the NMS server, and then when people access your base, that's the version that they get to see. If you make changes while you're online but you don't actually upload it, those things don't tend to stick.
But if you continue to upload your base, then if somebody lands at that planet, they've never been there before, they're actually going to see the base you uploaded.
They should, yeah.
Okay, well, that's cool.
It's supposed to sync that information up. But as you mentioned, when we tried it last, I hadn't been on for a while, and you hadn't been on for a while, so you saw the base in its previous state because it just hadn't been uploaded.
But yeah, very cool all around though. Like, hats off to those guys for absolute redeeming of that thing.
Yeah, super duper impressive. Like, even I liked
now,
it.
If it can just, I want my spaceship to, or my space suit to be like X4 Foundations, where you jump out of the belly of the ship and then you can actually jet around in space and get your repair laser out and stuff, as opposed to how it is now, where I step off the edge of my ship and fall because gravity in space, right?
Wait,
I still think it's hilarious that you can call your frigate fleet into orbit, into low orbit from a planet, fly up there, land on one of your frigates, and then jump off and successfully land on your planet.
Yeah, they need a parachute or something. So
you got the jetpack, but
well, yeah.
If you don't have an upgraded jetpack and a whole bunch of minerals to keep you alive, because you will suffocate, then yeah, you can survive the jump. It's not easy to do because you have to have a lot of stuff on hand, but it's possible to survive it and just jetpack down.
Oh, cool.
Okay, well, are we moving on to most disappointing games now? Should we? We good with that?
If we have to.
No, we don't have to. Were there any more surprises for you, Spaz?
No, not really.
Yeah.
And there were good games, but
a lot of good games.
Surprises that were good.
Yeah, like a lot of games like were great this year, but we knew they were great like out of the gate because we played the pre-release version or whatever, you know. So it's like we knew they were we weren't
like a certain dwarf mining game, which will get mentioned later.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, I figured you were going to mention it too, so yeah.
Let's see. So most disappointing games. I have two. Origin Space, which was a Diablo-style ARPG, which was a lot of fun, and then abandoned and quote-unquote released. Was probably my biggest disappointment of the year, because it could have been a great game if the developer actually finished it, but they didn't. They just released it. And it's infuriating when that happens. Like, utterly, disgustingly infuriating.
Yeah, going from version 0.34 to 6 months later, leaving early access, release.
Yeah.
With no real communication in between.
Yeah, and there were no changes, and like the version numbers didn't really change, and nothing. There was no crafting that was never added. There was a lot that just didn't work. So yeah, that's my biggest disappointment of the year. Following that is a game called Fleets of Ascendancy, which just pissed me off to no end because it looked great. Like like on paper it looked great, but when I played it, it was like, what the fork? Trying to curse less. What the fork is going on here? This is forking shirt. This is just terrible. So those are my disappointments of the year. What about you, Jim?
I hate all games.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've kind of blocked out the ones that were just like,
that is fair.
There was a lot of stuff that I can't say that there was anything that came out this year that I was hyped for and then it let me down. It was stuff that I looked at and I was just like, nah.
That's good. That's actually good.
So there was nothing caught me unawares this year. It was just like the trash was obvious.
Well, that's good. What about you, Spaz?
Most of the same, because I didn't really have any games that I was severely disappointed by. Nothing that sticks in recent memory, because it would.
Well, I guess we're lucky then.
Yeah, I mean there was some things that I took a gamble on, and because of that refund button was right there, and it was just like, I'll check. oh nope, eject. You know, because like my refund stuff is all within like 10 minutes. I don't think I've played a game more than 10 minutes before I hit that button.
I'm intrigued to get to that category then.
Yeah, I'll have to pull up my list.
So let's move on to. Yeah, no, I refunded about half a dozen games this year, which isn't a lot, but it's still a decent amount. So let's move on to the next category: games you played the most. This can be a space game or not a space game because, you know, there are probably other games you played that weren't space games. For me, the game I probably played the most that was a space game was 3030 Death War Redo. Guys, if you haven't played that game, it is just...
It's ridiculous.
I can't knock you for that one. That was...
Oh my God. Dude, have you seen the movie Rotor?
Rotor?
With Boogie. Yeah, Rotor, or R-O-T-O-R.
No, I have not.
Terrible movie.
And it's an acronym too, by the way.
Yeah, God knows what it means. It means terrible movie in some language. But okay, so
there is a riff tracks of it, by the way.
Yeah, there is a riff tracks. That's why I thought maybe you saw it. There's a police robot that's in that thing, and I landed at a station in 3030, and I walk in, and the bartender behind the bar is the fucking police robot from Rotor. And I was laughing so hard, and I went in the Discord, and I posted a picture of it, and I was like, "Who the hell did this?" You know. And one of the devs was like, "Well, it's the police station," and that was like the only police robot we could think. And it was just like, "Oh my God, I can't believe somebody other than me has seen this movie."
I'm surprised they didn't go with RoboCop or something, but that's an even deeper cut. Well done. Well done. There's a police station in the game.
Yeah, there's one of the stations that's like the police headquarters.
Really? I must have not even... I've probably been there and didn't even realize.
I see stuff that... Well, like we were talking today, right? About the thing about just carrying cargo one station to another in 3030 is satisfying.
It's so satisfying.
Because you have to make choices about risk and reward and
flying through the nebula. Yeah,
like exactly. It's like I could Kessel run this thing, or I could take the slow route and take a lot of time, right? Do I just want to, you know, take the risk and do, but it's always engaging, right? But in Elite, it's just like, oh, well, I'll jump, you know, that's 10 jumps over there. It's just like every other jump, whatever. You don't have to think about it. So that's another place where that game succeeds. But yeah, every time I play that game, I run into something that I haven't seen before. And that's just, you know, I thought I had seen a lot in there, and then I ran into that robot from that movie, and it was just like, oh my God, talk about your hidden Easter eggs that just brought me such joy. I cannot describe to you just how fun it was to see that thing in there and know exactly what it was, and that it was just like the dev just giving me a bad movie fist bump. It was like, yeah, brother, we both seen this pile of shit. If you know it, you know it.
Yeah, folks, if you haven't played 3030 Death War, it really is one of the finest space games released in the last several years. It's just so good. It has just so much going for it on every level, from sound design to writing to combat to missions to trade to exploration even. There's just so much to do in that game. And it has a pace to it that never slows down and gets boring. Like it is hard to find a gap in that game where you'll be bored. You know, it's such a well-designed thing.
I'm gonna post in the stream chat the picture of the conversation that I had with the devs about.
Oh, cool. Next on my list is Helium Rain. That's I think my second most played game of the year, space game at least. We're gonna be talking about Helium Rain a lot. That's why it's on the stream, because that game is fantastic. It's kind of been a little lost in the shuffle after X4 came out, because X4 is like a larger game that does more in a lot of ways, but I think in a lot of ways Helium Rain is the better game that does things more efficiently. So it's kind of interesting. Like, it's been a decent year for open space trading games. Like you've had some really good ones this year.
And, yeah, well, it was like after playing a lot of Helium Rain, and I went back and played some X3, and then I went back and played some more Helium Rain, and I was just like, okay, so they've taken a lot of the things that aggravate me about the X series and just streamlined them right out. You know, like the stuff where it's like, God, I wish that the prices and stuff was like laid out like a spreadsheet so I could tell what the hell's what.
And there it is.
Helium Rain's like,
here you go.
Yeah, exactly what you want.
Like, oh, I know this system, this planet has a station that makes this thing I need for this other thing. I'm gonna go there.
Yeah,
next.
it's like, hey, they call that place the Forge. I bet that's where the metal factories are.
Exactly.
You know, things are named sense.
Yeah, it's just such good design is Helium Rain. And my last game is not a space game, but it's Warhammer 40,000 Inquisitor Martyr, which that's a mouthful. But that game took a lot of my time until I hit a wall with it. And I'm really hoping the big 2.0 patch that's coming out next year, which is going to make the campaign co-op and everything, will really revitalize it. Because right now it's like, meh. But 70 hours out of it, I can't complain, you know. Oh, and Pernicious says the Newtonian physics and spaceflight in Helium Rain is spot on. Absolutely. Absolutely. No question. Jim, what were the games you played the most this year? Space or non-space?
Oh, I played maybe a tenth as much BattleTech as Spaz did, which means I've got thousands of hours. And because Spaz played the shit out of
363 hours of BattleTech, 363 logged hours of BattleTech.
Wow.
Well, it would have been more, but I took a break in between the last update they did before this Flashpoint was released, because I wanted to make sure that when it released, I could jump back into it, and that's when I wanted to jump in fresh. So I have been playing it. It's just I took that break for a couple months.
Okay, yeah, I played that, and I played. Well, let me go ahead, Brian. Say yours. I'm gonna fish my actual Steam. Game
I was gonna wonder if Warframe was on that list.
Warframe is absolutely the most played thing all year. Yes,
I need to play more. I need to play more of it.
I was putting in 60-hour weeks at one point, so I played a little bit of. That's maybe why I don't remember anything else that I played this year. Is Warframe just destroyed my brain.
Yeah, I had to get back into it. They just had a big update, and they just keep chugging along with the updates on that one. Like, it's really impressive. Like, where did they get all their money? But I guess they're doing all right. Spaz, what about you? What would you say which games you played the most this year were?
Ooh, BattleTech obviously is there because
sure.
Yeah. Now looking at my list, Slay the Spire it's an interesting choice on there because I have 410 hours in it.
Whoa! Wow, that's a lot of hours. Wow. That's great when a game can give you.
I've put a significant amount of time trying to. Well, I mean, there's a lot of end game there. So,
a
lot of it is attempt to run, die horribly, attempt to run, die horribly, attempt to run, die horribly. But then again, with my love of roguelikes, that's kind of a given.
Right. Yeah, I remember seeing, like, because with Discord you could see what people are playing a lot of the time, and I remember seeing that one on yours quite a bit, just like with Jim and Warframe. Like, Jim's playing Warframe again. Were those the two? Were those the big ones?
I'd say those two, and some of Civilization 6. Probably about. I have less than 100 hours in it, but still, a lot of that was in the last 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, I actually just started playing that over email, and it's not bad. It's not bad at all. I'm excited about the expansion. I think that'll be fun because.
Oh yes, that's going to be interesting.
What are they adding back in that they just haven't had for a while? Is it religion? I think they're at.
So no, with the I believe it's called Gathering Storm is the name of the expansion.
Yeah.
And what it's adding in, or at least adding back, is environmental effects.
Oh,
so
right.
weather is going to be a deal. And climate change is going to be something to consider. So if you've been burning a lot of coal in the early game, that's going to affect global temperatures. And weather effects are going to be more extreme in the later game, which includes things like the ice caps melting and the coastal areas suddenly finding themselves underwater because the caps have melted.
Fun.
Which could also mean that if you are inland with your cities, your entire civilization is inland, you're not on the coast, you could potentially screw over the other players in the game by burning a lot of coal and oil early on so that their coastal cities get flooded.
That's pretty great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
So
not because I want to be a bastard, but because, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays.
I've determined that Steam is incorrect about my playtime hours. Because
sometimes it is.
Oh, I've played a lot of Fallout 4, and it doesn't even show up in the list here.
Really?
It's weird. Yeah. Okay, so MechWarrior Online, 689 hours. Warframe, 640 hours.
Oof.
Elite Dangerous, 403.
Oof.
Yeah. But you know what? To contrast that, how long has X4 been out? I got 98 hours in that already.
It's been out 2 weeks. 2 weeks. That's a lot. That's a lot more than I have.
I'm so embarrassed at that.
Still looking at my list. 49 hours in Heat Signature. That was a good.
Okay, good one.
Surprise. Yeah. And now, not surprisingly, 86 hours in EDF 4.1. But I only bought the Steam version in June. So yeah.
Yeah, we've put you've put more time in than I have, clearly, but we've still put quite a bit of time into that one. And
yes, we have.
It's not going to stop
and
anytime
soon. Playing it on Thursday.
Yay! Oh my god, I'm so excited about that. I love EDF.
In EDF 5, which
I want it so bad. I want.
Is EDF 5 more of that, or is there new stuff?
Both.
Because I saw it's like, oh wow, it's giant ants and the same robots and stuff.
Oh, there is that. Because it's actually prequel to the story. It takes place during the first alien invasion, but you start off as a civilian, and then you make your way into the EDF organization as the story goes on.
Yeah, I want those guys to make a new robot alchemic drive for me, please.
Oh, Sandlot could do it. I mean, they did the original. So.
That's another PS2 game I've been trying to find at an affordable price, and it's just not happening.
My God. I want a My Pet Giant Robot game so bad, where you can just okay, so a lot of people would play Robot Alchemic Drive, like you get on a building somewhere and watch the fight. Oh no, I'm on the robot's shoulder. Because I'm Johnny Sacco. I died a lot, but by God, I had the best view in town.
Yeah, that's another game I've been having a hard time finding.
Any game where you can actually ride on the shoulder of your giant robot.
That's pretty great.
March it into battle. You just can't beat that. So
that's pretty goddamn great. That is, you really can't go wrong there.
And make it VR. Oh, sweet Jesus. Please give me Robot Alchemic VR. And you'll not.
Well, there is that one. Although you're not riding outside the mech, you're inside it. It's Archangel, which is on PS4.
Yeah, but that's on rails.
Pretty good. It is on rails, I know, but in terms of concept,
yeah,
it works.
Did you get Vox Machina? It's actually MechWarrior. You're in the mech, full control of it in VR.
I have not.
Oh, you need to do that.
It's on my list. It's on my list.
You need to do that. That's my VR shocker of the year. And also because it's between that and Battlezone, which are both the VR Battlezone. I commend both of those games because they do not require VR, yet they were made with VR in mind. but it's perfectly acceptable if it's not in VR because it gives you a reasonable play experience even on a regular monitor. You can jump right in with the people playing VR. But the thing about Vox Machina is if you have, and I don't have the motion controllers, I just have the headset like you do. So I don't get the advantage of the cool shit, like being able to actually reach up and grab the microphone of my CB radio that's mounted in the wall of my mech and pull the mic down and talk into it. Because whenever you do that, the other people that are talking, it uses the head tracking to actually render the other person's head when they come on the radio. So if they nod or tilt their head or, you know, whatever, and it lip syncs, right? So it's a very lifelike cartoon person that's actually talking on the radio to you. It's pretty crazy.
That's pretty great.
I mean, granted, you know, I only have the PS4 headset.
Yeah.
So, and I haven't connected it to the PC.
Oh, okay. If you ever want to do that, I'll walk you through doing it. It's easy. It costs $10.
Yeah, I know about Trendness. I just haven't used it.
Yeah. But that's my my super cool VR thing that I saw this year. And how simple of a thing, right? But it's just like because it's like in Wing Commander, right? When people would talk and you'd have the talking head on the screen, except it's actually the other person just rendered as a cartoon, but it's doing the lip sync and the head track stuff. So they actually move like a real person. They're not just like, you know, a still picture with a flapping lip.
That is pretty cool.
I just wasn't ready for that to happen. And then for dankest meme of the year is VR chat, which is basically 4chan come to life. It's I don't know if you've ever seen it. Just watch a YouTube video of VR chat. There's a girl, Hey I'm B is her name. Just watch one of her videos and you'll either be horrified or in love with it or both.
Okay.
It's like Second Life, but everybody's in VR and everybody's a comedian, right? It was like there's one guy that was in there and the head on his character was a Google Home, and they had somehow hacked together a soundboard of Google Home talking, but they had it rapping, and it was a pretty dope rap.
What?
Yeah, it was like, yo, yo, search lady in the house.
Oh my god.
Brian, how did Streets of Rogue not make your list?
Which one? Which category?
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
I love Streets of Rogue, but I think it'll be done in 2019. But
yeah, I think so too.
I hope so. I'm not sure, but I hope so.
And Astroneer, I forgot to mention, is I've got almost 80 hours in that. And it's going to be releasing early next year, February.
That's a question that I had about Astroneer, because I heard Scott Johnson on his Boop show talking about Astroneer. And, you know, it's like, oh, yeah, it's coming out. And it's like, wow, that game was so not complete last time I screwed around with it. Like, there was really kind of nothing to do except build the base. And you could dig up those weird alien plant things, but there was really no resistance in the game. Like, there's nothing trying to hurt you or to work.
Well, it's sort of like Adios Amigos in that regard.
Yeah.
Because there are some hostile fauna, and on one of the planets there's this wind that will fling objects around, and those objects are spiky and will kill you if they hit you.
It's entirely player versus environment sort of thing.
It's not meant to be. Yeah, it's meant to be a co-op player versus environment experience. That's really, it's one of my go-to Zen games because of that. So, in a sense, it's a little bit like No Man's Sky in that it's what you make of it rather than expecting it to give you a narrative experience.
Okay, so the last time I played it, it was they had just put the moon buggy thing in. So since then, what has happened? A whole bunch?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of new stuff, new ways to craft, new buildings that you can put down. many of the buildings can just be packed up and then put onto a vehicle, stuck onto a vehicle. You can drive them to another location and then set up your base elsewhere.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, they've been going really modular with that, which is a very cool idea, because since you can repack stuff up, that means that you're not necessarily stuck to one location.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
I've got to do co-op for that someday.
Oh, it has co-op? Oh, I'll see if I can get it.
It's up to 4-player co-op.
Huh. Well, I guess I have to get a copy somehow. All right. So next category is quickest refund. If you guys remember any games you refunded this year. For me, I have a couple. The first one is Space Rocket, which is this asset flip game that I bought for $1 just to try it. And it's basically hitting the space bar while a rocket launches to drop one stage of the rocket and fire off the next just to see how high you can go. That's the whole game. And it was $1 and I refunded it because it was terrible. I think I played it for like 20 minutes. The other one I refunded really quickly was, I was really sad about this one. Vicious Attack Llama Apocalypse, which is...
What could go wrong?
It looked so great. It was a top-down roguelike where you're an armed llama. I mean, that looks fantastic, but it just didn't feel right. The shooting was slow. The controls were sluggish. It just didn't feel good at all. I was so sad about that one. Sad about that one. Jim, do you have any games that you refunded real fast?
Yep. So, and I said that there was nothing that I looked forward to and then got suckered by. I take that back now that I looked down my refund list. Chasm went back in about 15 minutes. I was just like, oh no.
Which one was that again?
That's unfortunate.
Yeah,
I like Chasm.
Yeah, I tried, but it was I could see where it was going real quick, and it's just like, mm-mm.
Chasm's a Metroidvania style game, which I helped kickstart. And the idea is you are a soldier who is sent to a town above this mine, and monsters have been appearing in the mine, and bad stuff has been happening, and you have to figure out this mystery of A, what happened to the villagers, save who you can, and B, end the threat.
Yeah, on paper it seems cool, but actually playing it, it was just I don't know. I didn't like the feel of it at all. It just, something felt bad.
Well, recent reviews have taken it from mixed to very positive. So
they fixed
it. They just released a free DLC pack for it. Apparently, it's been they've had some patches. It looks like. So I don't know. Maybe if it goes on,
they've been making improvements since release.
Yeah. So maybe if it goes on sale enough for you, maybe revisit it because it looks great. It's on my wish list. It hasn't been at a low enough price for me yet.
Most gifted game was Deep Rock Galactic. I sent that to 4 people. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm so excited about that one because their roadmap, folks. We've done a couple of streams of Deep Rock Galactic. It's amazing. But the developers are just so great in that they're making it single player viable as well, which a lot of these kind of 4-player co-op games are really lacking. They don't give a shit about the single player, but Deep Rock Galactic is adding this robot called Bosco, which is a great name, and it can do a lot of the things your compatriots can do in a multiplayer game. And they just made it even better. It's moddable now, for example. So you can make it mine better or shoot better or whatever, So they made the game viable for the single player, which is good because there's progression in it, So the devs of Deep Rock Galactic definitely know what the fuck they're doing. the fork they're doing, and
they are awesome.
Oh
my
God, they're so awesome. And if you see it on sale, whichever sale it's going to be, definitely check it out because it looks great. I mean, it is great. It is great.
And we've done 4-player co-op with it.
Oh, and it's so fun. It's so fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've had fun 2 and 4-player co-op. It'll you can play it through 2, 3, or 4 players, and wow, just so much.
And every class is viable. Like, there are 4 different classes, and you're like, oh, one class is way weaker. I'm just going to always take the driller because he's got these big drills. And I mean, that's fine if that's what you want, but they all have something to offer, which is great.
Yeah, it's worth noting that each one has its own progression as well.
Yeah.
So just because you get really good with one character doesn't mean that you're done. You will want to actually play through all 4 characters at some point, eventually. And then there's even a, you could call it like a reincarnation system in another game. But once you've maxed out levels, you can start over. It's like prestige classes. You max it out,
right.
and then you reset, and then you get permanent bonuses as you continue to reset, get all the way up to the max level, reset again, and yeah. So that's part of their progression system, and it looks really good. I haven't gotten that far yet, but wow.
I would think they'll probably reset all that once the game goes to 1.0 anyway. They've reset it before, so.
I don't know. Maybe.
What were you going to say, Jim?
Oh, it was unrelated to that. I've lost it now.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Well, Spaz, maybe while Jim's thinking of getting that back, what do you have a nomination for quickest refunded game?
Yeah. I've refunded only very few games this year. Just I can count it on one hand, but
Right.
2 of them I can name 2. The first one is called The Last Train, and the idea is it's a post-apocalyptic kind of thing. The problem is that when I bought it right at release, no reviews yet. There was barely anything posted in the Steam discussions at that point. I couldn't get past the title screen. As in, I could load up the title screen, but nothing could be interacted with. And I had to actually force close the game. And after about 5 minutes of trying to do that and getting nowhere, I refunded it. So I wanted to like it, I just couldn't play it.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I see another one I insta-bounced on is I'm Not a Monster.
Wasn't that free right now?
It might be. It deserves to be. It's like
I would not go that far. I would not go that far. I actually liked it. But then again, consider the game that I used to.
Well, that's why I bought the thing, is because I was thinking about whatever that was. What was it called?
Mush.
Used to admin Mush.
Yeah. I was one of the game moderators for that. But
yeah, so I'm looking at that and I'm thinking like this is like a Mush or Space Station 13-ish kind of thing gonna happen. Okay, cool. And it was more like multiplayer XCOM kind of thing, but made no sense. And yeah, I didn't stick around long enough to figure out why. It was immediately evident, not my game.
I mean, that's fair. I liked it, but yeah, I can understand that it wouldn't click with you.
Well, I think at the price because it was like $20 or something like that. So yeah, that's if it had been like a $5 thing, I'd have been like, well,
yeah. I mean that would be it's a keep it in the inventory and maybe play it, for a multiplayer stream.
Oh yeah, other speed bounce was Zone of the Enders, which for me to bounce off a mecha game has to be.
Oh really?
Wrong.
Is that the Mars thing or something?
Yeah, it's
a remaster.
It's a Kojima game, right? And it's a remaster of a PlayStation 2 Hideo Kojima masterpiece on the PS2. Such a bad port.
Oh really? If I was to get one of those, there's 2 of them. If I was to get one for my PS2, which one would I get? The first one or the second one?
You have a PS3?
I have a PS2 and a PS3.
Get it for the PS3, then you get both of them, and it's remastered.
And is
Yeah,
that and that one's okay? And that one's a good port. That one's a good. Okay, I'll just do
this
that.
new remaster is not, because I think they
Oh.
remastered it for PS4 and PC, and it was like, I don't know how you fuck it up like that, but they did.
Sometimes PC ports go bad. I mean,
yeah, it's true.
There are examples of good ports, like Valkyria Chronicles 4 has had a pretty good port. And that's one of the games that I've played 100 hours in on
Dragon Quest
PS4.
11. Excellent port.
Which one?
Dragon Quest 11. Supremely good port.
11. Oh my god.
Yeah.
The series has been around a long time. I mean, it's one of those things where they actually have to release on a Friday when they release in Japan, because if they release on any other day of the week, the number of kids who would skip out on school in order to buy it, that's why they always release on Dragon Quest on a Friday. That's been that way for decades.
It's $60. Oof.
Yeah, it's no joke, but it's good.
All right, I'll wish list
I would
that
say
nonsense.
it's a touch easier than I wish that it was. It doesn't really make me work for it. But it's not a pushover like Ni no Kuni 2 was. Ni no Kuni 2, you can sleepwalk through that thing. They actually put a patch out, I guess, that made it harder. But the way they made it harder was just like, hey, we gave all the enemies like double hit points or something. And it's like that.
That doesn't sound fun.
There was one I bounced off of, which is unfortunate because I wanted to like it. The Colonists. And I wouldn't say it's disappointing. I'm not going to say it's disappointing. It's just that I bounced off it because of a particular part of the design of the levels, in which you may have a resource you need. It's a logistics thing. You've got these robots that you are trying to terraform a planet with, effectively, and make it ready for human colonists. Well, part of the issue is the way the design is. Each of the levels is handcrafted, so it's always the same. There's no randomization in that respect. You have these logistics chains that you have to create, which is part of the puzzly nature of it. But it's kind of maddening in that in some of the levels, unless you know exactly where you're going to need to be, you might have a resource you need that's on the other side of the map, and the levels are long. So if you have built out in a certain direction that is opposite of where you need to be, you may not have the resources to reach the next thing you need in order to complete the level.
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez.
It's not necessarily that it's a bad game. It's just one of those where it seems like, well, if you want to beat it, you're going to need a strategy guide telling you where you need to build to, and then you can figure out the rest. But at that point, are you really playing the game?
Yeah. That doesn't sound fun.
I wish that there had been at launch some sort of randomization where there's some sort of procedural generation to those missions and to the maps, so that you will have a little bit of leeway in puzzling out where to go, building your logistics chains, but not necessarily making it so that you have to have it damn near perfect in order to get there, which is the problem with handcrafted levels. If you don't know what you're doing, you're going to have to restart multiple times in order to figure out that exact formula. And, well, on that, they lost me. Again, unfortunate.
That is unfortunate. All right, well, it's time to turn things back to the positive and talk about our game of the year for 2018. Now, this is, again, doesn't have to be the best game of the year, but to me, it's the game that, like, when you think back as to what was released in 2018 that was special, like, it's the first thing that comes to mind. And for me, that's Helium Rain, which is also one of the best games of the year. Like, no question, that game is special. And it was in early access for a long time. The developers are really great. They're even on our Discord. They take the time to answer our questions on our Discord, let alone theirs. And it's really a special game that if you haven't played, keep an eye on it for in one of the upcoming or current sales, because it's just truly a labor of love in every, like, you're just playing this thing and you're like, so much thought was put into that button right there, or this screen, there's just, it's just such an efficient game that values your time and respects your intelligence, which doesn't happen a ton. So that's my game of the year for 2018 is Helium Rain. What about you, Jim? Do you have one?
Was Starpoint Gemini Warlords this year?
No, it was last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they put out so much DLC.
Oh my God, I know.
For the last 3 years. So,
but
anyway, it's an awesome game. I mean,
that's my my award for most complete game 3 times over.
Right? Oh my God.
It's like they finished that game 3 times. Yeah. Oh, but every time they would stick DLC on it, it was something actually completely meaningful.
Yeah, it's like almost expansion level DLC. It's like they're like almost like old school expansions rather than just
and I could just sandbox the shit out of that thing for hundreds of hours.
Oh God, yeah.
And not get sick of it. It's just like when I'm playing X4, I'm just like, boy, I wish it did this thing that Warlords did.
Oh, I know.
It's like I want to send Burned a copy of Warlords and just be like, rip through this, right, and steal, because like just borrow what you need to, because it's doing a lot of the same things you are,
but more efficiently and just better in general.
Yeah, it's like once you get out of the little quick ships, I don't care for the little frigates because they're too much like fighters. So I downloaded that because the way that I play the game is I play it like I'm playing Starfleet Command. Right?
Sure.
I just go top-down view, get my shield display up, and so I'm worried about maneuvering and
fire at will,
dudes, and not so much shooting. Yep, fire at will always.
Fire at will. I'll handle the abilities. Just fire at will. I'll just keep. I'll make sure they're in your.
Exactly it.
Yeah, I'll make sure they're in your arc. Just keep shooting them.
Now, of course, my thing to do with that is fly the Defiant, because you can mod that in.
Oh God, yes, that is so fun.
I've flown around in the Defiant, even though I've got access to the Titan. So
it's the fucking
well,
Defiant.
The thing that I love is you can mod in all the Imperial ships. Like if it's in the X-Wing board game, because they have like a whole bunch of Imperial stuff that I guess got made up in canonical side things, or like the Rebels cartoon or whatever it was in, right? But it's stuff that I wasn't even familiar with. But boy, there's a shitload of Imperial ships. So I'm just flying the Imperial Navy around. I'm very happy.
Yeah, it's really great.
And I should also mention the game is effectively complete at this point. They've released the last DLC they're going to release called Endpoint, and it's wrapping up the Warlord story. And they're working on another game at this point, as far as I understand. I don't know what they're working on.
What I would really love to see is I would like to see a game like Starpoint Gemini Warlords, but done with the Homeworld engine kind of thing, right? Like it's Homeworld, but on a map like Warlords, so that you're actually playing a big galactic campaign, but the individual fights are RTSs with Homeworld ships. Oh yes.
I mean, technically that could be just Sins of the Solar Empire.
Very much. I had that.
I mean, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's a good comparison.
Has anybody made a mod for Sins of the Solar Empire that just put the Homeworld shit in it? Because really, that's what it would need to do, and we're that sort of.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look now. To Nexus we go.
That'd be weird. That'd be like putting a Sins of a Solar Empire mod into Homeworld. It's like, what?
Well, see, that's the thing, right? Is Sins of a Solar Empire, it's cool, but I don't feel any kind of attachment to the vanilla units that are in there.
That's fair.
Those 3 different factions, I just don't care.
Well, technically, 6.
It's humans are, but it's mirror universe versions of humans, and but I don't know. It's like, hey, there's generic humans and some generic Klingon-y kind of aliens and some generic space elf people or whatever. I don't care. It's just like, let me smack a mod on here as fast as I can. Now, they put that new DLC. Was it today The new DLC came out.
Yeah,
I bought it.
Was that today? Yeah. The new. Apparently, it's very good. It's it adds a bunch of minor factions.
Yesterday was
when
it was released. But yeah, I've been playing it, and the minor factions. So the idea is that you can encounter these minor factions on the map. You can send a diplomatic vessel to them, and with enough diplomatic favor you gain with them, you can add them to your side. Now, what's interesting is you become sort of their sovereign, so you don't have direct control over any of their units. They'll build on their own. They will build ships and buildings on their own and develop their system on their own. But you can't directly control any of their stuff.
So I can't play the bad guys, roll in, beat them into submission, and make them my vassals. And they have
no. What you can do though is with a diplomatic ship in their system, you can, if you have enough diplomatic favor already gained. So it takes time to build that up, but you can spend resources in order to tell them things like, hey, gather your ships and go attack this planet, or go gather your fleet and lay siege to this planet, bombard it to weaken it. And then you can send your own ships to add to that melee. So that is kind of cool.
That is kind of cool.
You can't, you can have them do raids. You can have them.
Can you have them just come support you? Like if you're getting your ass beat, can you call them in like the cavalry?
You can say, attack this system. Give them a request to attack the system. Pay them a bunch of resources, and then they'll either send the fleet that they have, or build up a little bit and then send them.
Wow.
So
Nice.
that is, and then here's the other thing. Depending on the minor faction, they may have different abilities. Like one of the ones that I encountered will allow you to call in another fleet. You can call in a fleet to a system, or you can they have different special abilities, and you can even use technology upgrades in order to add to the level of things you can do with them. So that is pretty interesting.
That's neat.
Yeah, changes the game up a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pick that up because it looks great, and I'm really impressed that they're still fleshing that game out. That came out in 2012, which is 6 years ago. So damn.
Yeah, it's been a while, and honestly, I think the Star Trek Armada thing for it is still a AAA game.
Oh my god, it's so good, right? Oh my god, it's so good. Just shocked at how good that is. But we went off at a tangent, Jim. Did you say what your game of the year was? I don't think you did. Because Gemini Warlords was last year, sadly. So do you have one?
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I had in mind, was that I'm going to go with Fallout 76 because it has provided so much for the press. It's the game that continues to give. And thanks to Todd Howard for all the personal sacrifices that he's made. I wish that everybody, when the voting opens on Steam, we can go to Steam and just vote for Bethesda as Developer of the Year. And I think we should make that happen.
Not sure whether to take you seriously or not.
No, I'm completely full of shit. But I am serious that everybody should go there and just for the meme power, just vote them as Studio of the Year, because hold your canvas bag high and be proud.
Oh god, the canvas bag, yeah. So seriously though, what would you say is your game of the year for 2018? I mean, if you don't have one, that's understandable. It's been a really good year, so it'd be tough.
It has been. I mean, at this point, given the amount of time that I've put in it in such short order, and the iron is still hot, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say Game of the Year 2019 is X4 Foundations. It's gonna take about a year, but then it's gonna be Game of the Year for 20. Honestly, that's gonna be a spectacular.
You know what? I can't blame you. I mean, Rebirth ended up being a pretty great game after 2 expansions, I think it was.
And honestly, playing X4 makes me appreciate Rebirth 10 times more. Not because, you know, like X4 is a mess and I should go back and play Rebirth, but it's honestly like I've seen like what Rebirth evolved into, and it makes sense in X4, where in Rebirth it was just like none of this makes sense. But then if I go back to Rebirth, it's like, oh, now it kind of makes sense because I've seen the better version of this. I've seen the evolution, so I can kind of come back and actually understand what's going on under the hood a little bit more. So yeah, that's been nice. And special thanks to Dex for helping me understand what the hell is going on in Albion Prelude, because that game has been impenetrable to me for how long's it been out? 6 years, 8 years. I've just bounced off it and bounced off it and bounced off it, and finally I actually started playing it with a little bit of tutorial from him, and I've got a fleet now. It's crazy. I don't have a base yet, but I got some ships and I made some money, and I almost feel like I might someday know what I'm doing. I love what that game is. I just don't like trying to figure out how to be that. You know what I'm saying? It's just like with X4, it's so immediately approachable in those ways, and with X3, it's like about 20 hours in, if you don't screw up, you might get to what you're in X4 in the first 5 hours or something, right? So, because X4, you know, it's like you get a mission, it kind of puts training wheels on you, right? Because you meet that sea monkey in your first mission, and he's like the last boron in the universe, right? And he's like, hey, I want you to investigate this anomaly. And then you go do what he wants, which is basically turning a ship into a fusion bomb and blowing open a wormhole. And it sucks like a Terran space station through the wormhole. And then it's like, oh, I guess I have a space station of my own now. Okay. And, you know, like you'd be 20, 30, how many hours into X3 before you ever got to that. So here it's just like, hey, guess what? You know, we're going to cut all the crap. And if you want this, feel free to ignore it if you don't want it. But if you want to go this route, like here's a star base. You can put a dock on it. Start like you still have to get like millions of credits from somewhere before you can make any money with it, because you have to be able to build the industrial stuff. They don't give you any blueprints, so you got to go out and actually like get blueprints and earn faction with the other races, so they'll sell them to you and that stuff. So you got to work for it, but they give you the foundation. Like oh my god, the game's called Foundation.
Oh,
whoa,
oh my god.
Yeah, they give you
mind blown.
That gets a Keanu whoa out of me.
Yeah. But I didn't even realize I walked into that until I did, and then I was like, "Oh god,
that was pretty." No, they. If you guys haven't played X4, it is the most accessible out of all of them. The other ones were like, "Hey, you want to get to the stuff that's actually kind of fun? You got to play for 20, 30 hours," like Jim was saying. Here, it's like, "Oh, here's a mission. Here's a tutorial. Go do stuff. Here's how to scan. Go."
And it's like 20, 30 brutal ass hours. Like it's playing. Yeah. It's like playing X the roguelike.
It's mean. It's mean.
Hey, I went to this. Oh, I shouldn't have came here. Oh shit, I'm dead. Start over.
It's a very German game, and I say that with love. But it's a very German. They're very German games. But this is like the most accessible out of all.
Yeah. And dude, I cannot wait until the Star Wars mod comes for it and the Star Trek mod. Because you know that stuff's coming, man. People,
I don't know.
People hit Nexus within the thing that I discovered. I didn't realize that you could actually embed. It looks like Lua script in XML. So I cracked open some of the mod files that people have made, because they don't really say like, "Hey, here's the mod language." It's in their forums. They have references, but I haven't gone down that rabbit hole. But I downloaded some of the mods, and I was just like, how the hell does this thing even work? It's an XML file, and I cracked it open, and it's like, my god, it's full of code in XML format. Wow, what? You kids do that these days? So, yeah. And looking at the code, it's like, it makes sense, right? Like I've done scripting stuff before, and it's script, so I assume it's Lua related, and yeah, it's pretty clear. So as soon as they get like the ability to get textures and new ship models, which the guys from EgoSoft have assured the community that will happen, and they've got, you know, like a Steam Workshop button right there in the game. Did you guys? I haven't listened to the interview you guys did with them yet. Did you guys hit the multiplayer question with them at all?
I don't think we did.
Okay,
but they're super tight-lipped about it. Like, people ask them about it, and they're like, "We can't talk about it."
Yeah, what I hope, and what I told them, because I'm in their Discord too, and what I told them over there, because they were asking, you know, like, well, how important do you think this is to people? And I'm like, I think it's very important to me.
Yeah.
But I think that actually having the rest of the game fleshed out so that it's an excellent, like, 5-star single player experience first. And then I know you guys already have the hooks for multiplayer, because I see how I can launch a private server already. Like, if you crack the files open, you'll find it. And it's like, I could fire off a private server right now and connect to it, but I don't have a way for other people to connect to it because some of that stuff's not there. There's a chat window keybind, and you can pop a chat window up where you talk to nobody because you're the only person in the game. But it's like the foundation of that stuff is there, right? So I know they're going to do it. And if that stuff is there, then that means that they're not going to paint themselves into a corner in adding things that would be not compatible with multiplayer. So as they go along, you know, so eventually they will reach the point where it's like, now is the correct time to introduce this other element. And hopefully they haven't shut the door on it by putting things in the way that they'd have to, like, recode, right?
We'll see.
But I think since they've already got the basis of that in there, that they're not going to make that mistake. Because that's like where Fallout 76 had so much trouble. That engine has been a single player thing all along. There was never a thought of multiplayer. It's like whenever we were talking to Mike Giuliano about, well, how do you get the player to be able to walk around in the ship without flying off the floor, because, like, space engineers can't even do that. And he's like, the ship stays still and I fly the universe around the player, right? So when the ship rolls, I actually, like, roll the entire galaxy and the ship stays still. And that's how Fallout works. The entire world moves around the player. The player doesn't move around the map. So you trigger things, you know, and all the scripts depend on being triggered off the player's object. Well, now if you have 2 players, you got a problem, right? If you got like 20 players, you got a real problem, because, you know, there's no main player object to trigger your stuff. So they had to recode the guts of that engine. And that's why I'm looking at X4 and I'm like, okay, they're not doing that. They're built with multiplayer as an eventuality in mind. So since they're building it that way from get-go, it will be much, much easier to just flip that switch on whenever they get to the appropriate moment. So, okay, I'm down with that. Honestly, it has the ability to be perhaps the game that I wanted Evercron Legacy to be, or Legends rather. Evercron Legend Legacy, whatever the hell the name of it is.
Yeah,
Evercron is an amazingly great game made by one dude. That's the only thing that holds it back, is it's made by one dude. Had it been a company like EgoSoft that had made that game, I probably wouldn't have needed another game afterwards. So yeah, it's just that, you know, and that game, I wish that there was a multiplayer community for Evercron more than there is. There's a couple servers up, you can catch a couple handful of people on now and then, but it's not like Discovery Freelancer, like, hey, I log in here and there's 100 people in this server. And
yeah, it's a real shame.
If those people would come over to Evercron, then I would be in Evercron every freaking night.
Well, maybe Sean will go down the slightly accessible route like the X game did, and maybe they'll, you know, because I think I've noticed that this seems X4 seems to be a lot of people's first X game as well,
quite a bit.
Yeah, which is
an
impressive
foundation to enter the series.
Oh, come on. Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
Okay.
Aren't you sad that I wasn't here for that?
No. Well, yeah.
I'm so pissed, man. Because what happened for everybody that didn't catch it? I took the day off work because it's like, I'm going to talk to Egosoft. This is going to be epic. I need to speak to these people. And then the Trello thing said 9 a.m., but I thought, well, Brian's 3 hours behind me, so that really means noon. So I got up about 10, and they were done. Because it was really 9 o'clock my time. Because time zones.
Yeah, and
I didn't
Trello
realize that thing actually converted time zones.
Yeah.
It's obviously smarter than me.
Yeah, Trello's pretty great. That's what we use, folks, for all our planning and notes and everything. If you need any kind of planning or to-dos or anything, Trello is the best.
So I was so super pissed. I just got my cup of coffee. I walked in here. I put my headphones on. It's like, what's up, guys? Hey, we're done. What? It was like in a cartoon when somebody pulls the lever and the floor opens up, and I just fell down in the.
Well, you don't fall until you look down.
That's right.
That's cartoon law.
Well, Spaz, what would you say your game of the year is?
For me, it's a toss-up because last year I called BattleTech as my game of the year. So it is still there for me. They've added so much to it with the Flashpoint DLC and the season pass with 2 more major DLCs on the way.
I didn't realize it's even been out for a year now. Wow.
Yeah. There is another game, though, that's coming close because it is the first game I was able to get the Platinum Trophy on, and that was Valkyria Chronicles 4. So I've played a lot of that. Actually, I've completed the campaign, got the secret ending, did all the DLC, so I've done everything for it on the PS4.
If they would just make that game without the dumb anime stuff, it would be... Oh, wait, that's the whole game.
Yeah, that is the game.
I like the first one. It's kind of like anime XCOM, but it's got.
It is.
Did they preserve the real timeness of it? Because it's like you don't actually pause. You get bullet time.
So here's how it works. You do have, as you select a unit, you get counter fire on you. If you're in range of an enemy, they spot you. You can actually run around enemies. If you get behind them without being spotted, you can get the chance of a critical hit, because you're undetected, and you won't get counterfire. However, one of the things they added in was the Grenadier unit, which is effectively a mortar. And they will counterfire on tanks. They will counterfire on infantry. And depending on the type of mortar you're using, it can either have the effect of removing all the AP from a tank so it can't move anymore, or if it's the other type of mortar, anti-personnel mortar, then you can actually slow the enemy unit down.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, that happens in real time. You'd have the same blitz system, which was used in the very first game. It's just been refined.
Yeah, I've only played the first and second one, mostly the second on the Vita. Which
4 takes place concurrent to the storyline of the first game,
which is hilarious.
They make it work because
that's great.
You're playing your main characters are from Gallia, but they're in the Federation army, so they've effectively volunteered to go to war before Gallia has been invaded. And it hasn't been invaded yet, at least not at the start of the story. But what's interesting is, today, the last DLC for Valkyria Chronicles 4 was released, which is the Squad 7 DLC. So you actually have Vulcan and Alicia from the first game in your squad. In 4. Yeah, there's a... So for those of us who bought the collector's edition, we got that included with it. So I had them from the beginning. But with this DLC, you have a kind of a meetup with the members of Squad 7 because it takes place at the same time. You go to Gallia, you meet up with them, And then after you're done with that particular mission set, you can use them in your squad.
Nice. Well, I'll have to get it at some point. It's on PC now, right? Or is it not?
Yeah, and
Right.
everything I've heard about it is that it's a good port. So,
okay.
Grab it on sale.
I will get it at some point. That's an interesting mix, you guys. So let's move on to our final thing. What we're looking forward to in 2019. Because 2019 should be an interesting year. For me, the top is Star Sector. I mean, nothing has me more excited. And because of their version numbers, they're at 0.9A right now. There's a decent chance we might get 1.0 next year. Oh my God. Like, I bought a copy of the game before I even started Space Game Junkie. That's how long it's been in early access. Like, I bought my copy in May of 2011. but it might be like finished, quote unquote, this year or this coming year. Can you believe it? Like, it's like one of those constants, like, oh, Star Sector, it'll be done, in 2024. But no, it might be done next year, you guys. And I am just horrifically excited about it. If you haven't played Star Sector, it's like everything you want out of an open space game. Not just economy, but colonization, empire stuff, bounty hunting. It's they call it Mount and Blade in space.
If somehow that and 3030 could just have a baby, and
for God's sakes. Oh my God, I'd never leave my office. I'd never leave.
Yeah, have you seen the new thing that Crunchyleaf's making?
No.
Oh, okay. I'll show it to you. I can't talk about it.
Okay.
It's super secret.
Okay.
But they're well underway with their new, and it ain't nothing like the old thing.
Oh, that's exciting. Oh, kitty. So that and MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries, which got pushed back a lot, but I'm still disgustingly, horribly excited about that one. And I'm going to be honest.
Apparently, you can play the whole campaign co-op, from what I've
heard. Yeah. So that might be a long play game.
Yeah, I watched some people playing that at MechCon because I got people that went. And,
sure.
It's going to be cool when it comes out. I just don't know when it's going to come out. Because
they're saying September or October of next year now. Like they pushed it way back.
Let's call it 2020 optimistic.
Oh.
The problem is their player base is a bunch of people that are freaking ninjas, right? Like we can kill anything because we've been shooting other people, right? So the AI can stand no chance. It's just like if you just peek one eyeball around the corner, I'll shoot you in it from 5 miles away because I've been playing hundreds of hours of this game, and no AI can stand up to that. So, and the AI that I've seen, I don't think that they've really even so much started with them. It's kind of like the robots are kind of like dopey walking turrets at this point. They're not really fighting intelligently. But that's going to be very different.
Finding and all that fun
stuff.
So
it's yeah, and I haven't seen them, like I haven't seen pathfinding problems, but they don't put them in a situation where they would have one when they're showing it, right? So it's like they don't have mechs like in the middle of an urban area where there's a bunch of buildings to just like headbutt into because they can't figure out how to go around them. And we've seen this with like X4 where ships can't figure out how to get into the dock, right?
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So imagine with battle mechs trying to figure out how to navigate through city streets and alleys and crap. And that alone is a hell of a task. And then to get them to actually fight competently while that's going on. So all the demo stuff they've done has been like basically like, hey man, we're out in the middle of an open field because there's nothing to like wreck the AI kind of thing. But the AI, they ain't smart, right? So it's going to take a lot of AI work. And the problem is PGI has been making a multiplayer game that has 0 AI. So they didn't have anybody. I'm sure they got somebody now, but they didn't have anybody with the skill set of let's code a competent multiplayer AI for bots in here. So they need to find somebody who is like a bot master to come in there and do that. And maybe they've done that already. I don't know what the situation is, but
hey,
the
they
demo,
some of the people who worked on the Unreal Tournament.
yes,
bots,
exactly.
maybe.
Those bots is what I was thinking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because if you think back to
that would make
it, like whenever we've played MechWarrior 4, those bots weren't any kind of smart either. I mean, it's like they would send enough mechs at you, but also you couldn't aim super precisely in that game, right? And when they were demoing it at MechCon, I noticed that they'd set everybody up with a stick and throttle. And these people who are playing this game, we are all mouse users. There's nobody that plays that game competitively that uses a joystick.
That makes sense.
And then they give them a joystick, right? And I'm watching people like trying to hit things, and it's like whiffing terribly. And it's like, yeah, because you can't aim with a damn joystick in this thing. So if they had given these people mice, then you just seen like all the AI just get wiped off the map in the first 2 minutes, and that would have been the end of the demo. So I kind of feel like they made everybody play with one hand tied behind their back so that it wouldn't look so bad.
To make it look closer to what it would be for new players who have never played MechWarrior before.
Yeah. So there was a rumor. I don't know anything more. There might be much more info than what I heard, but all I heard was just like a little whisper that like the BattleTech pods might come back because they're doing this, right? So it's like this is ripe for sticking in pods and putting out in the world, and it's just like that would be beautiful. So
yeah.
And I've seen BattleTech pods with the upgraded code. It's running MechWarrior 4. So
MechWarrior 4 is still that's good. I like MechWarrior.
It is, and there's something to be said about going to like a place like if you could go to the mall, like how they had laser tag places. Do they still have laser tag places? I assume, but like you go to the laser tag place,
they do, yeah.
And then there's like 10. You go to the laser tag place, and there's like 10 or 12 BattleTech pods. Also,
amazing.
Okay,
amazing.
I'll be in for that. That's great,
Yeah,
right? But
great.
Other than that, it's just like I could sit here at my desk and play MechWarrior 4, so I don't need that.
Right. Well, I just have one more. The other game I'm looking forward to most this year is Rage 2. I'm gonna be honest. I'm disgustingly excited about Rage 2. It looks like it hits every one of my buttons.
No, which Rage 2? The Rage 2 or the Far Cry Rage 2?
No, Rage 2. Not the.
I know, but
I know, not the Far Cry.
Is also Rage 2.
Rage 2. No, the actual Rage 2. I know what you're talking about, and which I think is kind of hilarious.
What blew my mind is they like when they started showing the trailer for Rage 2, like back at E3, and everybody was like, "What the heck is all that like hot pink fuchsia stuff?" And then whenever they showed the Far Cry thing, everything was like hot pink fuchsia.
Yeah.
Like, wow. God.
Yeah, it's like, wait, this looks like Rage 2. Rage 2. I enjoyed my time with Rage a lot. Like, I stalled on it eventually, but I raced a lot, and it had good gunplay. I really enjoyed Rage a lot. So
okay, Rage or Borderlands? Pick one.
Borderlands.
Okay. See, I always looked at Rage as like poor man's Borderlands.
It is. So. I mean, but the racing is a lot of fun. It's like its own mini game. I mean, Borderlands is a better package, but Rage is, a good time until you get to like it like kind of stalls out. Like it just like loses its steam at some point. Yeah. But Rage 2 looks like open world joy, and I'm just like I'm close to pre-ordering it, and I'm like, I don't know.
Is it going to have co-op?
I think so.
Okay,
yeah, I think so.
That might make me get on board for that. If you can open world Mad Max co-op, I'm in. But
let me look it up while you're telling all of us what you're most excited about in 2019.
I'm most excited about I don't know. Genesis Alpha 1. Maybe.
Oh, that's a good one.
I was really excited for that. I was super excited for that in September when it didn't come out. And I think we know why now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We know why. Oh, why didn't we say Rebel Galaxy Outlaw? Duh. Of course I'm adding that to my list. Rebel Galaxy Outlaw is another one I'm looking forward to.
Of course, we are looking forward to that. Yeah.
That game is never coming out.
Duh. But yeah,
of Star Citizen.
But Genesis Alpha 1 looks great. I gotta agree with you on that one.
That looks like it's gonna be really interesting, weird sandbox.
Yeah, first person shooter mixed with a spaceship builder? What?
Yeah, Team 17 in the house, so that it can't be bad. You know, it might be like not as good as it could be, but it definitely can't be bad.
I've seen a lot of gameplay footage, and I'm probably going to put in a pre-order within the next couple of days. I mean, it's not coming out until a month or two, but
29th.
Still, yeah,
29th January. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably going to do that too.
Well, the thing is, I'm probably going to get it on PS4.
Oh, okay.
Since it's super single player, then there's no reason.
Single player. It doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't matter whether I get it on PC or PS4.
But yeah, my vision is sort of very short range for things coming out in 2019, because it's really like X4 just dropped, and I know that Genesis is coming, and I can't even remember what might be out past that. So you might say something, and I'll be like, oh yeah, that. But and the Rebel Galaxy.
For my part, Ace Combat 7.
Yeah, where the hell is that? Isn't that supposed to be here like right now?
No, it's got pushed back.
Okay, because they were like December 12th, and then it didn't.
Oh, so that's the one game you're looking forward to most is Ace Combat 7?
Well, they pushed it back. It's coming out January 18th.
Oh, so not far away.
Yeah, not so bad then. Okay, I'm down with that. I hope it's like
I already pre-ordered.
I hope it's more like the previous Ace Combat than the most recent one, whatever that one was called.
Well, what you're thinking of Assault Horizon?
Yeah, Assault Horizon, because Assault Horizon had that weird. It was like Tom Clancy's Hawks, where you would get in a dogfight and then it just becomes like a rail shooter, and it was like, no, please.
Yeah, that was So this is more of a return to form. In fact, what's interesting is that if for PS4 owners, which is where I pre-ordered it, since they have a set of missions that are just for VR. Now, it's not VR required for the entire game. It's just for these specific missions. But what is awesome?
Okay, but wait a minute, that pisses me off, right? Because like Gran Turismo, right? It's like, oh yeah, we support VR. Yeah. Okay, so there's like 3 races you can do this VR. It's not the whole game.
It's not the whole game, but it actually makes
that's
sense.
Dumb. Like if you're gonna put VR in it,
no, trust me, it makes sense, because from people who have played it, they've said that they could not play the entire game in VR this way because of the nausea factor. It would be too much to actually play through the entire campaign in VR.
You just got to get strong. That's all. Well, no, I'm just saying let the option be there for VR, and if you want to play it not in VR, you got that option too. But if I want to just like be in the, it's like pick any mission and I put the headset on entirely.
Because what happens is that when you are playing in VR, from the footage I've seen, there isn't the typical HUD. Your instruments are your HUD.
Yeah.
So when you want to see like how fast you're going, you look down at your instrument.
Right. But still, that's fine, because I still have the controller in my hand, right? So there's no reason that they couldn't, instead of having the HUD, just have me in the cockpit in the VR thing at any time, right? So I don't see why that differentiates. Well, we made a couple special missions, and then the rest of it, you're out of luck.
Well, I'm not sure exactly how many missions are there, but it's not a full campaign.
Okay.
But one thing they mentioned is that you can use the VR to do your lock on. So you actually look at the target and do lock on that way. So that is going to change things up in terms of playing the campaign, because if you can do the entire campaign that way, that's going to change how the game actually plays. rather than playing on a flat screen. But I get what you're saying. I mean, it would be awesome to have the option for both. But
what I don't like in VR is when they bolt a theme park on. Right? It's like, oh, well, here's our regular game, and then over here to the side, there's a bonus roller coaster that you can ride. Right? Like they did in Star Wars Battlefront. It's like, oh, well, I don't think it
seems that way. From what I've been seeing the video of it, it doesn't seem that way. It seems like it's not bolted on, but built for it.
Okay.
If you get my meaning.
Yeah, but did you play the Star Wars thing in Battlefront 2 of the X-Wing deal? It's like a mission that you can do in VR, and it's cool. It tied into Rogue One and everything, but it's a thing you're gonna do like twice. And, because the first time it's like, wow. And then the second time it's like, okay, yeah, I did it again. And then there's no reason to go back a third time because, it's what it is. It's a ride. So hopefully not that. It just kind of like with Gran Turismo, they did that too. And it just kind of pisses me off because it's like, no, man, I want to play a racing game with VR with all the advantages of being able to look into the corners and all this. Right. And on PC, I have got it. It'd take two hands to count how many racing games that I can play in VR. And then they have it like half-assed in VR on the PlayStation. It's like, that's what I bought the VR thing for, was to do stuff like that. And then all I get is theme parky things. So,
well, again, I mean, this from the video I've seen, it doesn't feel like it's theme park.
Yeah,
it feels like it's built for VR for those specific missions, and then the rest of the campaign is.
Yeah, I'm just saying in generality, like developers, please stop doing that shit.
All right, did we get everything? Yeah, I think we got everything. All right, it's almost 2 hours. Let's wrap this shit up. So, friends, we have one more thing this year. That's Thursday's EDF stream. And then we are off for 2 weeks. We're taking the holidays off here at Space Game Junkie. We'll still be around the Discord if you want to hang out and all that. But no podcasts, no streams, no games of the week because,
time off is time off.
Yeah, we're all going to be getting gifts. We're going to be buying new games on the Steam sales. So we'll need time with our new toys, especially me, because I have a big new toy that I want to get the most out of.
That's what she said.
Yeah, I ran into that one and slammed into the glass door that didn't open in time.
The joke was a solid foundation.
Yeah. So, oh my God. Just gonna call this episode Foundations. So yeah, we're gonna be off. So we wish you the happiest of holidays. We hope you get everything you want. Get a lot of great stuff on the sales that are coming up and that are currently ongoing. Steam's gonna have a big one, but honestly, my money's gonna be probably on Fanatical and Green Man Gaming. They've just had the best deals of late. Seriously, especially Fanatical. Fanatical's been off the chain with their deals. Oh my God. And we'll be back on January 8th with Star Dynasties, and we're very excited about that one. That's another in the very small subgenre of Crusader Kings in Space. We're very excited about it, and we're very happy that the developer has chosen, even though he's in England, he's going to join us in the middle of the night his time, so we can have it at a regular time for us. That's very nice of him.
Awesome. Cool. When is that going to be?
That's January 8th.
On the 8th.
It's the 8th of January, so 3 weeks from now, basically. So yeah, folks, thank you so much for helping make 2018 so awesome. It's been a great year. The community has grown all over the place. Discord's grown, Facebook's grown, the YouTube has grown. So we couldn't be happier to have you all as part of this wonderful thing we have here. And wish you all the best, joyous holiday season and a happy new year. And may 2019 be better than 2018 for all of you. So thank you for listening and have a good night. Bye.